Hi everybody, I'm Jerry. I'd like to show you a little trick that I've been using for many years. It's called miter folding, and it works for just about any angle and any kind of wood, and even any thickness wood. It doesn't require any clamps. It doesn't require any biscuits, and it's as simple as can be. And when you're done, you're going to have an invisible, very strong joint. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut these pieces on the table saw, and I'm going to create a little corner just like that. But you could do this for a panel with a face frame. You could do this for an octagonal box, anything you like. Okay, so what you're going to do is you first of all, you want to have a nice flat bench, and you're going to put your pieces down flat, just like that. You want to just show how that looks on the edge, Sandra? You see how that's flat? And this is going to be flat here. Now, if you had two different thickness pieces, say you had a half-inch piece, these are both 3/4. Say you had a half-inch piece, all you would do is put a piece of 1/4 inch under the piece that's half-inch, so that they come out flat on the top. So I'm using this Gorilla tape, which is pretty strong. You have to watch out though, because if the tape is too strong on some woods, like open grain woods, oak and whatnot, you might pull some of the grain off with the tape. But on some prime pine like this, it'll work fine. And usually, a lot of guys just do it in one piece. Sometimes you have, pieces that are a little crooked or whatever. When you cut them on the saw, they're not perfectly flat. You're going to hold these together, and you're just going to tape these together so that they're tight there at the joint. Hold these flat like that. And I've put a couple of more pieces on there just to hold it together. And then I'm going to tape the whole length of it. Okay. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and go the whole length here. And I'm just going to make sure that stays flat here. Stays flat here. And I'm going to press that down. I'll take that up here. It's a little bit wrinkled, but it probably doesn't matter. You should go the whole length. So I'll just add a little piece here. The cut add a little bit too short. So okay, so that is it for the tape. You just press that down real good. Now you're going to turn it over, and that's what you're going to have on the other side. As I say, it'll work for 45 degree, 22.5, any conceivable angle that you'd like. And so what you're going to do with that tape, you've created a hinge that's going to hold those two pieces together on the corner like that. Do you see how nice and clean that corner is? Okay, we'll take that and we'll put a little bit glue in there now. And I usually run a little bead here and one down the seam here. And I take that, and you can, if you want to get fancy, you could take a little brush and do that. I find that you can use your finger or just not do anything, and it's probably fine. And now, instead of clamps, we're going to use some stretchy tape here and go right around that miter, just like that, and pull it together. You want to make sure you go in the direction of the clamping it together. You don't want to go wrapping it around because you'll be pulling them apart. You want to go this way. And you can see the squeeze out there from just that little bit of pressure. Now, if you've got a wide panel and a face frame, let's say a 2-inch face frame, you can clamp these as well from underneath, making sure that the pressure of the clamp is lined up with the panel. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so I'm going to put these aside for maybe an hour, and then I'll clean up the glue, take the stretchy tape off and clean off the glue, and we'll be good to go. But you can see that miter is absolutely perfect. Okay, and I'll come back when that's dry, and then we'll cut these to length at the end. By the way, we don't ever we always leave these about 1 inch longer than we actually need them. Okay. So a lot of people ask, don't you need some reinforcement on a joint like such as a spline or a biscuit or something like that? And the only thing that the spline is doing is keeping your joint aligned. It's not really. It might give you a little extra strength, but there's so much strength in the miter joint because there's so much glue surface there. There's so much wood surface there that I don't think that a spline would make it any stronger. So it's really, you're relying on the advantage of that angle is creating a lot of glue surface for you. And the only thing that I would caution is that you don't stress that joint right off the bat. You want to let it, before you really start to stress it, I would wait, 3 or 4 hours. But you can certainly work with it and clean it up and cut it, but I wouldn't stress it, because if that glue's not completely set up, the joint could come apart on you. We've had that happen, just from our experience. Okay. So, and I took the tape off and cleaned out the glue in the back. Just to remind you about the tape, I would do a sample if you're working, especially if you're doing this for the first time. Do a sample with the tape. Make sure that the tape is not so strong that it's not going to pull the wood fibers off. And it's probably best to do it, within an hour or 2 hours rather than let it sit overnight, because we've had like mahogany pieces, little strips pull off, and it's kind of a nightmare to fix. So anyway, we've cleaned this, taken the tape off, cleaned the glue off, and you can see that it's a really nice joint. And we'll just break the edge there, and I'll show you what that joint looks like, just to give you an idea. And that doesn't get any better than that. We've done splines over the years, we've done biscuits. This is just as strong, and it's so much faster, and you'll find that you're not going to have lots of things clamped up and losing your bench space. It's going to go real quick. And this is a small piece, but if you're doing wider pieces, it's best to take, say, a block. Just check the angle there before you, so that you're sure that that's a 90 or a 45 or whatever. But I think that you'll find that that's a good technique, and saves a lot of time and a lot of bench space and clamp marks and you name it. So it just works really well, and I hope that you can use this technique for many years, just like I have, and get some good results. One thing to say about why miters are preferable for an outside corner is you don't want to really have, say this was your panel, you really don't want to have that edge showing like that when you glue on. You always want to miter it, because with a painted job, the wood is going to move and it's going to telegraph. You're going to end up seeing that seam on the edge. So it's always, rather than a butt joint, a miter is always preferable. And as I say, it comes out looking like one piece of wood, and you'll be amazed at how easy it is.